Hey everyone, welcome back. I need you to think about the last time you opened up to someone. Maybe you shared something about your goals, your struggles, your fears, your finances, your relationship problems. You probably felt good about it in the moment. You felt connected, vulnerable, authentic. But here's what you need to understand. Every single time you share certain categories of information, you're giving away power. You're handing potential manipulators the exact ammunition they need to control you, exploit you, and destroy you when it benefits them. And the worst part? Most people have no idea they're doing it. They think sharing is connection. They think vulnerability is always strength. They think openness is honesty. And those beliefs make them perfect victims for anyone who understands the dark psychology of information warfare. Today, I'm exposing the 5 specific things you need to stop telling people immediately if you want to protect yourself from manipulation, exploitation, and having your own words weaponized against you. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what information manipulators hunt for, why they want it, and how they use it to gain power over you. Let's get into it. Before we dive deep, if you're getting value from this, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because this is information that genuinely protects you. And comment below. Have you ever had something you shared used against you? What was it? Let's talk about it. Now, let's break down exactly what you need to stop sharing. First, let's address the elephant in the room. When I say stop sharing these things, people immediately think I'm saying be closed off, be paranoid, trust no one. That's not what this is about. This is about strategic discernment. It's about understanding that information is currency in social dynamics, and certain information gives disproportionate power to whoever possesses it. Think about how blackmail works. It's not about having any information about someone. It's about having specific information that creates leverage. The same principle applies to everyday manipulation, just more subtly. When you reveal certain categories of personal information, you shift the power dynamic in the relationship. You create vulnerability points that can be exploited later. And here's what makes this particularly insidious. The people most likely to exploit your oversharing are often the ones who encouraged you to share in the first place. Manipulators create environments of false safety. They make you feel comfortable, accepted, understood. They share their own vulnerabilities strategically to trigger reciprocity. They ask seemingly innocent questions that extract exactly what they need. And you, thinking you're building connection, hand over the keys to your psychological kingdom. Research in social psychology shows that self-disclosure creates a false sense of intimacy and trust. When you share vulnerable information, your brain releases oxytocin, making you feel bonded to the listener. Manipulators know this and exploit it ruthlessly. They're not connecting with you. They're conducting reconnaissance. They're building a file on you. Every piece of information you reveal gets cataloged and saved for future use. And when they need leverage, when they want to control you, when they decide to destroy you, they'll pull out exactly what you gave them and use it with surgical precision. So let's break down the 5 specific categories of information you need to protect, why manipulators want them, and how they weaponize them against you. Number 1. Your future plans and ambitions. This is probably the most commonly overshared information, and it's incredibly dangerous. When you tell people about your goals, your dreams, your plans for the future, you think you're sharing excitement and inviting support. But here's what's actually happening. You're giving manipulators a roadmap of what matters to you, what you're working toward, and exactly where to strike if they want to undermine you. Let me explain how this gets weaponized. Scenario 1. You tell a colleague about your ambition to get promoted to a specific position. That colleague now knows your competition for roles they might want. They also know exactly what position to subtly undermine you for. They'll plant seeds of doubt about your readiness for that role. They'll position themselves as the better candidate. They'll make sure leadership sees them as the obvious choice while you're still working toward it. You literally told them exactly where you're headed so they could get there first or block your path. Scenario 2. You tell a romantic partner early in the relationship about your dream of starting a business, traveling the world, or achieving financial independence. If that partner is manipulative, they now know exactly what to target if they want to control you. They'll create situations that make pursuing those dreams difficult. They'll frame your ambitions as selfish or unrealistic. They'll make you choose between your dreams and the relationship, and you'll feel guilty for wanting what you openly shared you wanted. Scenario 3. You tell friends or family about plans to make a major life change. Move cities, change careers, end a relationship, start something new. If those people benefit from you staying exactly where you are, they'll sabotage your plans. Not obviously, subtly. They'll remind you of every risk. They'll highlight every reason it might fail. They'll make you doubt yourself until you abandon the plan entirely. And the worst part? They'll claim they're just being realistic and looking out for you. Here's the psychological mechanism at play. When you share plans before executing them, you get a premature dopamine hit from talking about it as if it's already happening. This actually reduces your motivation to do the work because your brain already got some reward. Manipulators understand this and will encourage you to keep talking about your dreams instead of doing them. They're not supporting you, they're keeping you stuck. Additionally, research shows that when you declare intentions publicly, you create social pressure and judgment that can be weaponized. If you don't achieve what you said you would, people will notice. Manipulators will remind you. They'll use your own stated ambitions as evidence of your failure. So, what do you do instead? Simple. Stop announcing plans. Share results. Work in silence. Let your success make the noise. Tell people about your promotion after you get it, not while you're pursuing it. Share your business after it's profitable, not while it's an idea. Reveal your transformation after it's complete, not during the difficult middle. This isn't about being secretive. It's about protecting your energy, your focus, and your plans from people who would consciously or unconsciously sabotage them. The only people who should know your future plans are people who are directly helping you execute them and have proven through consistent action that they genuinely want your success. Everyone else? They can find out when it's done. Number 2. Your past failures and regrets. This one is particularly painful because sharing past struggles often feels therapeutic. You think you're processing, healing, being authentic about your journey. But to a manipulator, your past failures are a gold mine of ammunition they'll use to keep you small and controllable. Here's how it works. When you share a past failure, mistake, or regret, you're revealing several critical pieces of information. 1. An area where you feel shame or inadequacy. 2. A pattern of behavior or decision-making you're sensitive about. 3. A narrative you might believe about yourself that can be reinforced to control you. And manipulators will use all 3 strategically. Let's walk through examples. You tell a partner about a past relationship where you were cheated on and how it destroyed your ability to trust. You think you're being vulnerable and explaining why you have trust issues. What you actually did was hand a manipulator the perfect script for gaslighting. Now, anytime you have legitimate concerns about their behavior, they'll frame it as your trust issues from the past, not their sketchy behavior in the present. You're not reacting to what they're actually doing. You're just damaged from before. See how that works? Your past trauma becomes their shield against accountability. Or you share with a colleague that you failed at a previous job, got fired, or made a major professional mistake. You think you're being honest about your growth journey. What you actually did was give them leverage. The next time there's competition for a project, promotion, or recognition, that colleague will subtly remind leadership about your history of failure. Not directly, just a passing comment. Well, we know Sarah struggled in similar situations before. Maybe this isn't the right fit for her. Now your past mistake, which you've grown from, is being used to limit your future opportunities. Or consider sharing with friends or family about past financial struggles, bad decisions with money, debt you've accumulated. You think you're being real about your journey, but now, anytime you want to make a financial decision, people will question your judgment. Remember when you couldn't manage money before? Maybe you shouldn't be trusted with this decision now. Your past becomes a permanent label that follows you and limits your agency. Here's the deeper psychology. Humans have a cognitive bias called the halo effect and its opposite, the horn effect. When someone learns negative information about you, they tend to view everything else about you through that negative lens. Your past failure becomes the framework through which they interpret all your current and future actions. Manipulators exploit this ruthlessly. They'll store your past failures and pull them out strategically whenever they need to undermine your credibility, confidence, or decision-making authority. And because you shared it voluntarily, you can't even accuse them of unfairly digging into your past. You gave it to them. There's also the social proof element. When you share failures publicly or even semi-publicly within a group, you create a social record. Other people now know this about you. Even if they don't consciously weaponize it, it affects how they perceive and treat you. You become the person who failed at X in their mental categorization. So, what's the alternative? First, radically limit who you share past failures with. Only people who have demonstrated over extended time that they are truly in your corner and won't weaponize vulnerability. Second, if you must share, control the narrative. Don't just share the failure. Share the lesson, the growth, the transformation. Frame it as completed evolution, not ongoing struggle. This reduces the ability to use it against you because you've already owned and transcended it. Third, consider that therapy, journaling, or trusted mentors are better outlets for processing past regrets than casual social sharing. You can heal without broadcasting your vulnerabilities to people who might exploit them. Remember, authenticity doesn't require full disclosure. You can be genuine without being an open book. Protect your past. It's yours, not material for others to use as they see fit. Number 3. Your current insecurities and fears. This is where oversharing becomes most immediately dangerous because you're revealing real-time vulnerabilities that can be exploited right now, not just in the future. When you tell people what you're afraid of, what you're insecure about, what keeps you up at night, you're essentially handing them a control panel to your emotional state. And manipulators will press those buttons whenever it serves them. Let's break down the mechanism. Insecurities and fears are leverage points. They're the psychological equivalent of pressure points in martial arts. If someone knows exactly where you're vulnerable, they can cause maximum damage with minimum effort. And unlike past failures, which are historical, current insecurities are active wounds. They hurt when touched. Manipulators know this and use it strategically. Here are the most common ways this gets weaponized. You share that you're insecure about your appearance, your weight, your aging, whatever physical aspect you're sensitive about. A toxic partner or friend will now use that insecurity to control you. They'll make subtle comments that trigger it. Are you really going to eat that? That outfit is interesting. You look tired today. None of these are overtly cruel, but they're precision strikes on insecurities you revealed. They keep you anxious, seeking approval, and easy to control through intermittent validation. Or you share professional insecurities. I don't think I'm experienced enough for leadership. I worry I'm not as smart as my colleagues. I feel like an imposter sometimes. A manipulative coworker or boss will now use these exact insecurities to keep you in your place. They'll agree with your self-doubt, subtly reinforce it, and position themselves as more capable by contrast. Your admission of imposter syndrome becomes their confirmation that you're not ready, even when you objectively are. Or consider sharing fears about abandonment, being alone, not being loved, not being enough. A narcissistic partner now has the ultimate control mechanism. They can threaten the exact thing you're most afraid of anytime you set a boundary or challenge them. Maybe you're right, maybe this isn't working. maybe we should break up. They're not actually leaving. They're triggering your fear of abandonment to make you back down. Your revealed fear becomes their most effective weapon. Here's the really insidious part. Manipulators often extract these insecurities by first sharing their own, creating false equivalence and reciprocity. I'm so insecure about X. What are you insecure about? It feels like bonding. It feels like mutual vulnerability. But theirs is strategic and often fabricated, while yours is real and exploitable. They're not sharing. They're mining. The psychology behind this is rooted in emotional regulation. When someone knows your fears, they can trigger emotional dysregulation in you anytime they want. Dysregulated people make bad decisions, struggle to set boundaries, and are easier to control. Keeping you in a state of insecurity serves manipulators because insecure people seek external validation, which gives the validator power. There's also the weaponized reassurance tactic. A manipulator will learn your insecurity, trigger it through behavior or comments, then offer reassurance. This creates a trauma bond where they're simultaneously the source of pain and relief. You become dependent on them for emotional regulation around the insecurity they're actively exploiting. So, how do you protect yourself? First, radically limit sharing current insecurities. Work on them privately, with therapists, or with truly trusted people who've earned that level of access over years. Second, if insecurities come up in conversation, deflect or reframe. Instead of, I'm so insecure about my intelligence, try, I'm working on developing expertise in new areas. You've acknowledged growth without revealing vulnerability. Third, pay attention to who asks probing questions about your fears and insecurities. Genuine friends ask because they want to support. Manipulators ask because they want leverage. You can usually tell by what they do with the information after. Do they reassure and drop it? Or do they reference it repeatedly, especially during conflicts? And finally, work on your insecurities independently so they have less power over you. The less insecure you actually are, the less exploitable you become. Confidence isn't just attractive, it's protective. It removes the buttons people would otherwise push. Number 4. Your financial situation. Money is one of the most powerful information categories you can protect or expose, and most people grossly underestimate how dangerous financial transparency can be. When you share details about your income, savings, debt, investments, or financial struggles, you create multiple vulnerability points that manipulators will exploit for control, extraction, and leverage. Let's start with why people overshare financially. Sometimes it's genuine openness, sometimes it's insecurity and seeking validation, sometimes it's manipulated out of you through direct questions you feel obligated to answer. Regardless of how it happens, the consequences are significant. Here's how financial information gets weaponized. Scenario 1. You share that you make good money, have savings, or recently received a windfall. Suddenly, people treat you differently. Friends expect you to pay for things. Family members have emergencies that require your help. Romantic partners become financially dependent or entitled to your resources. You wanted to share good news, but what you actually did was paint a target on yourself for extraction. People who wouldn't have asked you for money before now see you as a resource to be tapped. And if you say no, you're selfish, greedy, forgetting where you came from. Your financial success becomes social obligation you never agreed to. Scenario 2. You share that you're struggling financially, in debt, or having money problems. Now manipulators have different leverage. They can offer help with strings attached. They can use your financial stress to pressure you into decisions you wouldn't otherwise make. A boss knows you're desperate for money, so they can underpay you or demand unreasonable work because you can't afford to quit. A partner knows you're financially dependent, so they have ultimate control because leaving would mean financial devastation. Your financial vulnerability becomes a cage. Scenario 3. You share specific numbers about income or savings with colleagues. Now there's comparison, resentment, or strategic positioning. If you make more, people resent you and might sabotage you to level the playing field. If you make less, people see you as less valuable and treat you accordingly. Salary transparency among colleagues rarely benefits anyone except employers and manipulators. Money is tied to survival in modern society, which means financial information triggers primal responses. When people know your financial situation, they make calculations, often unconsciously, about resource access, status, power, and leverage. This affects how they relate to you fundamentally. Additionally, financial information is concrete and measurable, unlike emotional or psychological information. This makes it easier to weaponize because there's no ambiguity. You either have money or you don't. You either owe debt or you don't. These facts can't be reframed or reinterpreted, which gives them power. There's also the class and status element. Financial disclosure often reveals class position, which triggers all kinds of social dynamics including envy, judgment, assumptions about character, and shifts in social treatment. People make sweeping conclusions about who you are based on financial information, and those conclusions affect every subsequent interaction. Let's talk about specific manipulation tactics built on financial information. Financial coercion. I know you can afford it, so why won't you help me? This uses your known financial position to guilt you into giving resources. Financial sabotage. Someone knows you're doing well financially, so they borrow money they never intend to repay, or they create situations where you're pressured to spend beyond your comfort. Financial control. In relationships, one partner uses knowledge of the other's financial vulnerability to maintain control. You can't leave me. You can't afford to live alone. Financial manipulation in workplace. Employer knows your financial desperation, so they exploit it through low pay, long hours, or toxic conditions you can't escape. So what's the solution? Radical financial privacy. Unless someone is your spouse, business partner, or financial advisor, they don't need to know your financial details. Period. When people ask how much you make, deflect. I'm comfortable. It's enough for my needs. I don't really discuss salary. You don't owe anyone financial transparency. When people ask to borrow money, you don't need to justify why based on your financial position. I'm not in a position to lend money right now is a complete sentence. Doesn't matter if you have millions in the bank. Your money, your boundaries, no explanation needed. In romantic relationships, maintain some financial independence and privacy even in marriage. Have accounts that are yours alone. Know your own credit score. Understand your full financial picture independently. This isn't about lack of trust, it's about maintaining agency and protection. And finally, be very careful about social media financial displays. Posting about purchases, vacations, homes, cars, all of this broadcasts financial information that people catalog and use to make judgments and decisions about how to relate to you. Financial privacy isn't about shame or secrecy. It's about protection. Money changes relationships, and people behave differently when they think they can access your resources or when they perceive financial disparity. Protect this information like you'd protect passwords, because in many ways, it's just as powerful. Number 5. Your relationship problems. This is perhaps the most socially normalized oversharing, and it's incredibly destructive. When you share problems about your romantic relationship, family conflicts, or friendship issues with other people, you think you're seeking support, perspective, or validation. What you're actually doing is permanently damaging how others perceive your relationships while simultaneously giving manipulators tools to interfere, control, or destroy those relationships entirely. Let me break down the specific dangers. First, the perception problem. When you vent to friends or family about your partner, you're creating a one-sided narrative during moments of frustration. Your friend hears about every fight, every problem, every frustration, but rarely about the good moments, the resolutions, the reasons you're still in the relationship. Over time, they develop an increasingly negative view of your partner based exclusively on your venting. Then, even if you work through issues and are happy, your friends and family still see your partner through the lens of every complaint you've made. You've poisoned the well. You can forgive and move on, but they can't because they weren't part of the resolution, only the conflict. This creates long-term relationship damage where your support system actively dislikes your partner based on information you gave them. Second, the interference problem. When you share relationship problems, you invite others into your relationship as judges, advisors, and influencers. This is dangerous because those people have their own agendas, biases, and often benefit from certain outcomes. A single friend might encourage you to leave a relationship because they want you available. A family member might push you to stay in a bad relationship because of their values or image concerns. A manipulative friend might give advice that serves their interests, not yours. You thought you were getting neutral support. You're actually getting biased interference from people with stakes in your outcome. Third, the weaponization problem. Every detail you share about your relationship becomes material that others can use. A manipulative person who wants to pursue you romantically now knows exactly where your relationship is weak and can position themselves as the solution. Your partner doesn't appreciate you like I do. They're using intelligence you provided to create wedges. Or someone who resents you will use your shared relationship problems as gossip to damage your reputation or your partner's. What you shared in confidence becomes social currency in networks you didn't authorize. Fourth, the triangulation problem. This is particularly common with narcissistic or manipulative partners. They encourage you to share relationship problems with specific people, then use those people against you. Even your friend Sarah thinks you're overreacting. Now your friend has been weaponized against you using information you shared. Or they share selectively with others to create flying monkeys who will pressure you on their behalf. Your vulnerability in sharing problems becomes a tool for your partner to build alliance against you. Fifth, the permanence problem. Relationships are dynamic. You have bad days, bad weeks, even bad months, but you might work through them and be stronger. However, everything you shared during those difficult times is permanently in other people's minds. You can't take it back. You can't make them unhear it. So even when things are good, there's a record of every complaint, every doubt, every moment you questioned the relationship. And that record colors every future interaction. Here's the psychology behind why this is so damaging. Relationship researcher John Gottman found that how couples talk about their relationship to others actually affects the relationship itself. Negative narratives externalized become internalized. The more you vent about problems, the more those problems become your relationship identity. You're literally reinforcing negative patterns by repeatedly verbalizing them. Additionally, relationship problems shared outside the relationship violate relational privacy and trust. Even if your partner never knows you shared, you've changed the relationship dynamic by bringing outside voices into intimate space. The relationship is no longer just between you two. It's now influenced by everyone you've shared with, their opinions, their biases, their agendas. So what should you do instead? First, handle relationship problems within the relationship. Talk to your partner directly. Work through issues together. If you can't resolve it yourselves, see a couples therapist who has professional obligations of confidentiality and neutrality. Don't outsource relationship problem solving to friends and family who have no training and lots of bias. Second, if you absolutely must discuss relationship issues externally, be extremely selective. Only people who have proven over years that they want the best for both you and your relationship, who don't gossip, who keep confidence. That's a very small list, and even then, share sparingly and only when genuinely seeking perspective, not just venting. Third, balance any problem sharing with positive sharing. If you mention a conflict, also mention resolutions and good aspects. This creates a more accurate picture and prevents others from developing exclusively negative views of your relationship. Fourth, never share intimate details. Sexual problems, deeply personal conflicts, private information about your partner. This is sacred relational space. Violating it damages trust even if your partner never knows. And finally, pay attention to who asks probing questions about your relationship. Genuine friends check in generally. Manipulators fish for specific details they can exploit. If someone is particularly interested in problems in your relationship, ask yourself why. They might have ulterior motives. Your relationship is between you and your partner. Protect it like the intimate, private thing it is. Don't let oversharing invite interference, judgment, or manipulation into your most important connections. So, there you have it. The 5 categories of information you need to stop sharing if you want to protect yourself from manipulation and exploitation. Your future plans, your past failures, your current insecurities, your financial situation, and your relationship problems. Each of these represents a vulnerability point that manipulators actively hunt for and strategically exploit. But here's what I want you to really understand. This isn't about becoming closed off, paranoid, or distrusting everyone. It's about developing discernment. It's about understanding that not everyone deserves access to your inner world, and that's okay. It's about recognizing that information is power, and you have the right to control who has power over you. Authentic connection doesn't require full disclosure. You can have deep, meaningful relationships while still maintaining boundaries around sensitive information. In fact, healthy relationships respect those boundaries. People who demand full transparency and unlimited access to your private thoughts, feelings, and information are often the ones most likely to exploit that access. Trust is earned through consistent behavior over time, not given freely to anyone who asks nice questions. Real friends, real partners, real support systems don't pressure you to overshare. They respect your privacy. They've proven through actions, not just words, that they have your best interests at heart. So, moving forward, I want you to pause before you share. Ask yourself, what am I about to reveal? Who am I revealing it to? What could this information be used for if this person's intentions change? Do I trust this person with this level of power over me? If there's any hesitation, don't share. Your privacy, your protection, and your peace are more important than someone else's curiosity or your momentary impulse to be open. Guard your information like you guard your home. Lock the doors. Not everyone gets a key. And that's not just okay, it's wise. Protect yourself. If this video changed how you think about sharing information, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. Share this with someone who overshares and needs to hear this message. And subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep exposing dark psychology, manipulation tactics, and psychological protection strategies that you won't find anywhere else. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 5 have you overshared in the past? And more importantly, has that information ever been used against you? Be honest. Your story might be the wake-up call someone else needs to hear. And if you want to go deeper on any of these topics, I'm linking videos in the description about setting boundaries, identifying manipulators, and protecting yourself in relationships and workplaces. Here's your action step for this week. Go through your recent conversations mentally. Identify where you've overshared in these 5 categories. Then commit to strategic silence moving forward. You don't need to announce it. Just stop volunteering these categories of information. Watch how relationships shift. Watch who gets uncomfortable with your new boundaries. Those reactions will tell you everything you need to know about who is benefiting from your oversharing. Remember, silence is not secrecy. Privacy is not dishonesty. Boundaries are not walls. You have the right to control your own information. Exercise that right starting today. Stay protected, stay strategic, and I'll see you in the next video.